fun with that. Yeah. And we're going to jump into our first topic after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys have heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It is the undisputed #1 sportsbook in America. And right now, we have a little something different for you guys. Starting today through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook and get in on all the action. Bull Jed Wills did not practice yesterday. He has yet to practice in full capacity yet so far through training camp, and with just a few more days to go before the opening kickoff for the Browns, it'd be unfair to expect him to play on Sunday, correct?
Yeah,
at this point.
Absolutely. And let me start with this, Dusty, because you haven't been part of the group here. Yeah. We've talked a lot about Jed Wills. What do you make of this situation? Because when he had surgery last year, the whole offseason, we never talked about him missing time in the beginning of the season.
Right.
And now he's been just out of action. What do you make of this?
I don't know. I mean, there's things that Stefanski said that just kind of makes you think that there's something else going on kind of behind the scenes. The reality is we don't know. And the fact that they're making such a drastic change to move, a strength in Jack Conklin from the right side to the left side kind of tells you that they think this is going to be more long term. At least I think, because you don't move a guy from a position
for 1 week,
for a week or two or whatever, even a month. I don't know. If I were the Browns, I would. And I knew Jed was coming back, I'd be keeping Jack at right tackle. But instead, they're moving him to left. They're putting DeJuan at right. We know that whole thing. I don't know. He's been a bit of a disappointment. I know last season he kind of got better before the injury. But the reality is we have absolutely no idea how soon he's going to come back. He has, like I said, I think been a disappointment since he has been in Cleveland. And it's unfortunate. But, Nick, we were talking about this last week, he said – he thinks that Jack Conklin could play there for like years. I'm like, okay, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Is I guess my answer to that, because dude has played left tackle before, but it was a decade ago.
Right. Tyvis, obviously you both played corner, but you didn't play offensive line. But talk about how tricky you think it'll be for him to play the left side.
Well, I think that the good news is that they've been trying to, when he's been rehabbing, he's been working both sides, but it's just a different beast. I mean, you're talking Micah Parsons. Your first time in a decade playing left tackle is against Micah Parsons. I think it would be asinine for them to go out there and say, you know what, you got one-on-one with Micah Parsons, you good, go have it. No, David Njoku better be standing right there, and Jerome Ford and the running backs better be on that side chipping before they release, because I think that'll be just wrong to put a dude that hasn't played that position there against one of the best, a guy that's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year, to put him in a one-on-one situation. So that part scares me a little bit, but outside of that, it's the whole entire offense that kind of scares me a little bit, because you bring in a new offensive mind, a few offensive minds with Ken Dorsey, Tommy Rees, Staley, all these dudes, and we didn't get a chance to truly see it in the game day setting because the preseason was vanilla. We didn't want to show them anything. But not only did you do that, you also didn't play none of the starters. So we really don't know how it's going to be. And I think it's crazy for you to go out there, get all these offensive minds, go get some new receivers, and then think that since your quarterback's coming out, just think that everything from game one just going to snap. Like everything just going to be crispy. Yeah. Like that's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. So that's the part that scares me the most. But I think that Kevin Stefanski, I trust the fact that he understands where he's weak at in certain spots, and he always does a great job of game planning so that doesn't become a huge deal over the course of a game. I mean, think about it. We've had quarterbacks, we've had tackles that's went down, and for some odd reason, it never really materialized to anything on Sunday. So I guess I trust Kevin to have that same effect Sunday when we see Dallas.
G, you concerned about Conklin at left?
You want the good news or the bad news first?
Go ahead. Give me the good news first.
A good news is you got a tackle like Jack Conklin, who is an experienced tackle. He's been through some wars. He's played, but it's been a long time ago at left tackle. So what you got is you're not playing nobody that's a rookie, and I'd rather see him than James Hudson any day of the week.
Yeah.
So you got a guy, at least you could fall back a little bit on that. Now here's the problem. You coming out and when you talk about guys like big dudes that haven't played, those guys gonna be out there tired. You know what it looked like to come out here and not be in no OTAs, no preseason, nothing, and come get you 50 snaps?
Did he practice last week?
No, I don't think he practiced last
He's been
week.
around, but he hasn't practiced, I don't think, right?
No, I think this week is the first.
Yeah.
Maybe one practice last week.
Yeah, maybe it was something,
barely.
but it was.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's still. I mean, we're playing a game this week, guys.
Right,
What are we
right,
doing? Come
Reps. You got helmets.
reps are so vital.
Woo. And then you got Micah Parsons coming off the edge. Now, listen, the good thing about it is I like the fact that Coach Stefanski can scheme stuff up. I thought they did a good job with David Njoku last year, helping out on the tackles, right? Check releasing basically on every single play. And Tyvis is correct. The offense, to me, is going to be a work in progress. Those first few weeks, I don't expect them to be hitting on all cylinders. What you're going to have to do if you're going to win those football games is you're going to have to lean on the best part of your team, which is the defense. Like, they're going to Jim Shorts like, hey, look, if we can hold these guys under 19 points, 20 points, we can win this football game. But we can't give up 35, right? So if you can get those guys ready to play, and this is where Deshaun Watson comes in, you want your quarterback to give you one or two plays. Yeah. He might not give you 35 or 40 with 350 and 3 touchdowns. But I need a couple times where it's third and something that you move the chains when you ain't supposed to. So the defense will be ahead of the offense, and I think it will be a work in progress the first 2 weeks.
Deshaun Watson did not play well in week 1 last year. Now, the defense played great and the weather was bad, so that was, a factor. But, it's funny because we talk about how big a year this is for Deshaun Watson, and now we're kind of building in the excuses of it's going to be a slow start because nobody's played. He hasn't played, and as Tyvis said, most of the offense hasn't played. The offense has got to do their part. Yes, I agree. I expect the defense to be ahead of the offense, but they can't completely carry the offense. You're playing Dallas. Dallas is going to be able to score. I don't care how good your defense is. You're facing Dak Prescott. He's a top 10 quarterback. You're facing C.D. Lamb. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Yep. They don't have a great running game, at least on paper. But even their second wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, he's a good player. Their tight end, Jake Ferguson's a nice young tight end. So you're not going to shut them out. You're not going to probably hold them to 10 points. The offense is going to have to do some. But, yes, the defense has got to be the strength of this game. But getting back specifically to Jack Conklin, guys, and for you two who played corner, I'm curious. Like, when you play one side of the field as a corner and then have to play on the other side of the field,
it's different. That's different. It is a slight difference. Like, it can be tricky to some, but it's not like left tackle and right tackle.
Okay.
That's two totally different things to me. I think at corner, as long as you got good hips and your technique is good, you'll be fine. On that kick slide, and when you so used to kick sliding one side, and now you got to switch it and go the other way, like your body just not used to that. And then it's not only is that, these guys have good moves. Like, you got dudes that speed rush. You got guys that hit spin moves. You got guys that really good at countering. And if you're not used to your body just twerking that way like that, like it's that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
If you ain't used to it, like it's
used to twerking.
It can get chill out, bro. You need to chill out with that. But if you're not used to that, like it can be a foreign feeling to you. That's why reps is so valuable right there. At corner, you got to be, if you're going to be a top corner in this league, you got to be able to play both sides of the field. You got to be able to go inside, outside, and on the other side as well.
Ask Richard Sherman about that.
He did it.
I know.
He did it very sparingly, but he did it.
It's almost like dribbling with your left hand. Like, if they say you're a point guard, right, and you're a right-handed point guard, and then they switch you, they say, listen, we want you to play the whole game left-handed. You may be able to dribble with your left hand, right? But do you want to predominantly make moves and penetrate with your left hand? I don't think that's something like you really want to do. And the kick slide is that way. Like, the kick slide is just basically everything. Like, whether you overset, you underset, they got counter moves that come inside, go outside, dip, punch, and then they get you off balance and bull rush you. So It's going to be tough. That's why I'm watching exactly where Micah Parsons is, and I expect the tight end or back to be over there predominantly the whole game.
And on top of all that, corners is slim. You talking about 300 pounds trying to move like that's a lot. That's a lot to ask.
I do think that there are some areas where you can compare the two. Obviously, such a different position as Tyvis had mentioned there, but I do think, kind of like what G. Bush said, the muscle memory, the reps of doing something for an extended period of time, you get so comfortable. And like I said before, he'd only played left tackle like 10 years ago. I know he played it growing up or whatever, but it's been 10 years. Like, you play left and right corner, of course you should be able to do both. And I played field and boundary when I was at Ohio State, and for the most part in the league it was left and right, depending on who else was out there. But and by the way, I did like a certain side. I like to play the right side more than the left side. Part of it was because I had a dominant right leg, right? And so depending on
it's funny, I like to play the left.
So like this was my dominant leg, which meant all my load and my power came off of this leg. So when I pushed off in my back pedal, it was right here. Very similar to a tackle, right? If you're a tackle, your left foot's up, your right tackle, your left leg's up, so you're then pushing off this to get back. So your mind is sort of like it's backwards when you go to that other position. And I kind of equate this to, I never played offensive line at a high level. I played when I was in Pee Wee, which meant nothing, right? Okay, so when I got to Ohio State, I was on the punt team, and I played the wing on the punt team, which is probably the closest thing you can have to a lineman or a tackle, which in terms of the kick step, the drop, and all those things. And so I played on the right side, and I was very, very comfortable with that because of the way that I'd work on it. The kicks, you kick your right leg back, blah, 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 boom. It's basically a tackle position. I couldn't have played the left side if my life depended on it, because my mind was so jacked up because I tried it a couple times and I was terrible at it.
Yeah.
So I hope it's a better transition for Jack Conklin going from right to left, and certainly we'll see in the games. The number one concern that I have about this change, guys, is that you're taking a strength, and if it becomes a weakness, and I'm not saying that it will, because DeJuan Jones, I think, has shown a lot of potential to be a really good right tackle. But if it doesn't become, it becomes a weakness, and then you got Jack Conklin at left tackle, and let's say he's 80% is of what you think you're going to get, dude, I would rather have him at right tackle playing at a Pro Bowl caliber level as opposed to him being an average left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help both guys. I mean, or if you do, then you have nobody not enough guys out running a play.
Right.
So it's going to be tricky. And I wonder, like, if you're Jack Conklin, because he's played right tackle for so long, is there going to be a moment? I'm not watching the offensive lineman's feet, but there will be somebody watching that. I wonder if there'll be a moment where he'll take the wrong step once or twice.
I think it's so when you kick sliding, you have to do it in a specific degree angle, right?
You gotta go straight back.
You can't so if he turns his shoulders and gets too parallel to the line of scrimmage, he opens up the inside move, right? If he doesn't get enough depth on his kick slide, he gets beat on the speed rush. If he's off balance because he doesn't have his power or his anchor step correct, he's gonna get pulled. There's so many different things you could do, and for me, like when Dustin said it, he's right. Like, you just have to really think, okay, well, something must really be up with Jed, because usually they don't make those type moves just willy-nilly. They're like, all right, well, listen, if he's going to be out 1 or 2 weeks, cool. We'll work with it over here.
No,
but
we'll assign somebody for those couple of weeks.
But
they could have. If it was just going to be a week, maybe they just go with a Fetty at left tackle or whatever, James Hudson. But yeah, it does make sense what you say, that maybe this is going to be a longer term thing, and who the hell knows what's happening. And if Jack Conklin plays well, I would stick with him.
Nobody cares.
Or at the same breath, though.
Yeah.
This is Jed's last year.
Right.
Under contract. Jack got 2 more years. They're paying him a boatload of money this year. It's like, let's get something out of him.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And you would think, I mean, if you're the Cowboys defensive coordinator, you're targeting Jack Conklin even though he's good, right?
I'm sending the blitz from the left every time.
Yeah.
Tyvis, even with Micah Parsons coming off the edge at that side potentially, would you still blitz on Micah's spot if he's going up against Jack Conklin?
Yeah.
Put as much pressure on him as possible. The side that he's
Now he got to think about picking up blitz, and you got Micah Parsons too.
And the calls is different too. Like when
I'm sending that nickel right off the edge.
When the center is calling out stuff, like he hears it at right tackle, he ain't thinking about nothing. Okay, cool, let's roll it, rock and roll. Now you really gotta listen. Like, okay. Now here's the great thing: you got a great left guard, and Joe Batonio that can help you out a little bit, right?
Yeah,
he'll talk it out.
He'll talk it out. So like that's a good part about. Usually you want your tackles. I would prefer my tackles to be my best players. But when you got two guards the way they got that are their best players up front, it helps a lot because they can help out some guys if they need some help in knowing what to do or in terms of picking up pass rush.
Mikey, what do you got?
I got one last question on this, then we'll move on to our defensive back duo helping us break down how to slow down CeeDee Lamb. But how much do you think Myles Garrett will practice against Jack Conklin this week at that left tackle position to kind of get him ready?
Funny you bring that up, Mikey. Funny you bring that up because I was just thinking about that myself.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a chance to go up against, good on good in practice, it makes you better. I went up against the best wide receivers in the country when I was at Ohio State, and those guys were all first-round picks.
Yeah.
And you know what I was playing on Saturdays? Not first-round picks. Okay, so those guys made me a heck of a lot better. And if I'm the Browns, and I don't know how much Myles, lines up right side versus left side. I know he's got a more comfortable side that he plays on. But as much as you can in practice, you definitely want to try to get him. And maybe they get him maybe Myles stays after practice. I don't know, just because he's such a team guy that he wants to help his guy really get up to speed as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That would be the best thing because that's as close as you're going to get to Micah Parsons. And usually in the NFL, people do that. Like if you're a pro, you're a vet, and you coming off injury, you know that this game is riding on you, you will go to Myles and say, Myles, 00A. Just after practice, let me get like 5 or 10 pass rush moves just after practice. Yeah. And they'll be like, I got you, because they know you trying to get ready for a game. Right. I would imagine that is taking place.
This could be a good find. I mean, you think about it. All the last year, I'm sure you guys were doing this too. We were talking about the Jack Conklin contract, what a stupid thing to sign him. He's injured again. And now he might be a savior for this team at left tackle. It'll be interesting to see how it plays itself out,
If he does, I mean, like I said, they won't have to, maybe they don't have to spend a first-round pick next year on the tackle. If he plays well, like throughout the season, it's like, all right, we got us a left tackle because he's under contract for 2 more years. So now we can go look at another position group that we might need. So I think that it could be a win-win.
It would just be nice for the Browns to not have to draft somebody like super high like Jed and force him into playing such a prominent position, as opposed to like if Jack works out, and great point by you, he's under contract for the next year as well. Wouldn't it be nice to draft somebody, even if it was a second-round pick, and let that guy learn and like sit back and not be forced out there to have so much pressure as a rookie.
Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady said that's the problem with today. Like,
well, I think
we forcing these young guys into action and they're not ready yet.
Yeah, I mean it's so true though. I mean some guys can do it. I mean everybody's different, but I do think when you go from college to the pros, the level and the speed, like it's just so much different. I'm not saying guys can't do it, but I do think guys would be better prepared and better served, not just from the physical standpoint, but the mental capacity to know what you're doing and then also be able to not get down on yourself. Because I think as a rookie, so many players can get caught up in I had a bad play here or whatever. Like, I don't know. I just think that it would be sweet if this Conklin thing really works out because it would be such a win for the organization, for the team.
That's called the rookie wall.
Yeah.
Hitting that rookie wall. Yeah. I can't get nothing right now.
I think, guys should play when they're ready to play. And as you say, and both of you said, not everybody's ready to play the start of their rookie season. But guys are getting paid so much. It's like there's this anxiety from teams to get the guys in there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And many times it's to the detriment of that player's career.
But I think it just depends on the player, like you're saying, because like for me, coming in as a rookie, now I was undrafted. So, I'm not like Dustin. I wasn't on third. I was undrafted. For me, learning that playbook and then trying to adjust to the speed of the game, it is a lot. Like, it's you going up against guys that's like elite. Like, that's the thing about college. You'll go up against some scrubs and it's like, this is nothing. But every week, those dudes is elite at their position.
Right.
And you got to be worried about that. You got to know the playbook like the back of your hand, especially when them pieces get to moving. Like, when you get to the NFL and you learn the defensive playbook, if they come out in just one set, it's easy. Once they get to shifting and motioning, you got to know the adjustments. Now you thinking about those things, and now it don't allow you to play fast. It wasn't until I got towards the end of my first year or the second year in the system to where it's like, all right, I know that like the back of my hand now. So, like, let me think about other things. And that's the thing that I always say. Watching tape and being able to see formations and know, all right, this is what's about to happen, like, that's what makes you play fast. Yeah. So I get why rookies should sit for their first year, just so they can get the playbook part down and don't have to think about that.
Final thought on is that when you're a good team, and the Browns have just become a good team here, at least we think in the last year or so, but for years they were a bad team. And they were always forcing guys into the starting lineup. We talked about this for years. The good teams in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't start rookies unless those guys make it impossible not to start them, right? Like, because they have such good depth already, and they're developing these guys, on the bench, learning and practice, whatever, and then they don't play them until they're ready to play.
Yeah, and those teams are really good too. So it's not like they're drafting positions that are so vital. They're not drafting a quarterback every year like the Browns have been. They're not drafting a left tackle every several years because they've got the answers. They're fine. They draft well. Yeah. They're well coached. They're good teams, so they're not picking at the top. Yeah. So I just think there's a trend to those good teams and why they're good, as opposed to teams like the Browns who have been in the doldrums for so long that you kind of get in a rut of doing the same thing over and over again, which is picking players based on need, and you get desperate and you don't take the proper fit for your team because you're like, shit, we need a left tackle.
Yeah.
So
exactly. All right, Mikey, go ahead.